I guess we can get this started. We can see if Jim shows up later. Okay. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Parks and Recreation Commission is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to or view this meeting while in progress may do so by accessing the Zoom link in the agenda. We will post a record of this meeting on the Easthampton Media website as soon as we are able. All right. So no one is here from the public for public speak. So I don't see approval of minutes here on the agenda, but this is a good time to approve our minutes. I wasn't obviously at the last meeting, but I don't know if there were any corrections that needed to be made that anybody noticed.
We've got two sets of minutes to do. We got the February minutes too.
That's true. That's true.
So
yeah. The February ones I thought looked fine.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the February 17th, 2021 minutes.
Thank you, Eric. Does anyone second this?
I guess I'll second it.
All right, Bob, thank you. So Bob has seconded this motion. I guess we'll do a roll call vote for all in favor for this. Eric?
Aye, yes.
Aye. Bob?
Yep.
Andy?
I have to abstain. I wasn't there.
Ah, gotcha. And Ron?
Aye.
Okay.
So I'd like to also make a motion to approve the March 24th, 2021 minutes.
Great. All right. Does anyone second Eric's motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, Ron beat you. All right. So motion to approve the March meeting minutes. We'll take another roll call vote here. Eric?
Yes.
Okay. Bob?
Yep.
Andy?
Yes.
And Ron?
Yes.
Okay, great. Unanimous. Love it. All right, so moving ahead to 2021 park rentals. John, do you want to talk about what's going on?
Sure. So we started taking rentals for residents only back in the first week of April. As expected, is slower. People are still hesitant to have big events and things like that, and we have capacity limits. We had the Board of Health come in and work with us on setting the tables so they're socially distanced, things like that. As we know, it's an ever-changing guidelines that have come through. So we're in good shape. We've given our residents a full month to get in and get pavilion rentals. We tabled a discussion of non-residents when we'd be looking to start having non-resident rentals. The mayor that's in your packet put a letter together for us asking us to look at August 1st for non-residents. That was not an arbitrary date that she pulled out of a hat. That was, I think, that kind of went along with what the governor released yesterday of trying to get as much open for business as possible on August 1st. And the belief is, the numbers are suggesting that that should be at 80% vaccination rate by then for the state, which is a big milestone that they wanted to reach as well. So, so that's where we've left off. We that's what we need to kind of talk about tonight and get some satisfaction on when we can start having pavilion rentals for non-residents. I'm not sure if any of you guys saw the laundry list of guidelines that came out yesterday from the state, you know, looking at raising capacity limits, you know, the mask order for certain places will be taken away. It'll still be in effect in the park. There's no, it's still required in public places. It's still required at large gatherings and events in public. So that has not changed as of yet. And I think it probably won't change until that August 1st date is hit, when they think they've had a comfortable vaccination rate for the population. So that's where we're at. So we can talk about a hash out. We've had a month to think about what we want to do with non-resident rentals. My feeling is, if I would like to hold off. I don't know if August 1st is the date that's best. You know, I'm okay with a few weeks earlier, but I would like to hold off until after the 4th of July before we do non-resident rentals. I think having huge crowds in the park on the 4th could be a recipe for a COVID outbreak, to be honest with you, because there's not a lot of ability to social distance in the park. You know, when there's that many picnic sites and everything else on that weekend. So, and that's my only concern of getting things to back to normal when we're technically not back to normal. So that's my thoughts on that. But willing to definitely start looking at, you know, picking a date for non-residents to start renting, and picking a date when they can start getting into pavilions.
So the way that I'm reading this memo, the way that the mayor has written it, is she's expecting park to be open to full capacity. The opening line asked the Park and Recreation Board to fully open the the Easthampton parks no earlier than August 1st. So she's saying the park should be fully open on August 1st.
That's what I took from
I don't know. I didn't really understand that line either. I'm not comfortable with having the 4 pavilions open every weekend until we get a good sense of, yeah, you know, you don't have to clean tables after and things like that. You know, if there's still that in place, you know, there's no way we can fully open and have 4 pavilions on the weekends and expect the staff to come in and do full bathrooms. You know, we you know, you're doing trash, or, well, Eric, you know, you worked here, you're doing trash, you know, and opening bathrooms and cleaning up. And then on top of that, now you're looking at sanitizing, wiping down tables and high touch areas and things like that. So I don't know what the full capacity of opening would look like on in her mind, but I think that might be more related to residents and non-residents alike being able to rent and be open to the public.
So, I mean, I guess, so my personal take on this, my personal opinion, I guess, is that, you know, if John, you came and said to us tonight, the park is going to be open at very limited capacity for the entire season, half capacity, 25% capacity, whatever the number is, I'm totally fine with that. I'm 1000% fine with that. Again, to go back to what we discussed in the last meeting, I guess I don't really see, we've given residents at this point a full month to rent pavilions and to rent picnic sites. So I don't really see what the point then is of saying we can't rent to non-residents. If we pick if we pick a date, then, I guess I don't really see the point of saying no non-residents for the entire summer. And again, like I said at the last meeting, when we have non-residents playing baseball on our parks, on our fields, probably tonight. You know what I mean? So from a safety issue, I think there's two different factors at play here. I would fully support, if the commission said tonight, we're gonna be opened at limited capacity throughout the entire summer. I think in the name of safety, I would completely endorse that. In fact, I'll personally recommend that at this point, just with so much uncertainty.
Yeah, I'm still looking at 50% capacity, even after August 1st, of still doing just 2 pavilions each day. That's where I want to be. I'm definitely at 50% capacity, and I am, very open to allowing non-residents to start booking. Whether it's we open reservation. I don't want to open reservations next week just because camp reservations are registrations are starting. I was kind of looking at the following week to offer up. We haven't had a lot. I'd say we probably had maybe 6 non-resident requests so far for pavilions. So it hasn't been a huge influx of that, but I'm definitely open to, whatever the May 12th, 10th, or whatever that week is, to start allowing non-residents to book pavilions, and then look at the date where they can start, the date that we're looking at for them to start coming in.
So what's the opening date right now? I know that we're taking reservations for picnic sites and pavilions for residents. So what would be the early? So for example, me as Easthampton resident, if
May 22nd.
Okay, cool.
Is the first pavilion rental available? That's when that's when we're technically open for business, is May 22nd. Okay.
So I think it'd be reasonable to say, here's 3 things I'll say. Limited capacity, 50% capacity through the summer. I liked your date of May 10th or May 12th, whatever, the week after summer camp registration, to open it up to non-residents. And then non-residents could, if you want to give it a little bit more time after May 22nd, maybe say like a June 1st. I don't know what day of the week those fall on, whatever that weekend would be the following week. I think that's totally fair, and I think that's totally equitable.
If I just have a question, just because, just for clarity, so I understand, we're talking about the what's available for residents versus non-residents. Is that specifically for like pavilion rentals, or is that just general admission to the park?
Well, we're not going to have anybody working the gate at the park, so it's just going to be general for pavilion and picnic sites.
Okay, and those are going to be 50% available for the year? Is that the thought?
Yeah, so only offering 2 pavilions of our 4 each day. So if 1 and 3, so say Saturday, we're offering 1 and 3 are available. On Sunday, 2 and 4 are available. So we're not worrying about turning over a pavilion, cleaning it up, and having another pavilion going. We're still down a 40-hour position as it is. So yeah, and I don't have another weekend worker as well. This makes it more manageable, and it prevents from, you get 4 parties in here where 150, 200 people at each pavilion. yeah, there's just a lot going on for everybody to manage on a weekend, and you know, going from 0 to 100, I don't think is the best way to approach this.
Right. To me, like 4th of July weekend could be a nightmare. You know, that's
I
what's
agree. That's why I would like to push it at least to the weekend after. Like last year, we didn't open the park completely until after the 4th of July. The 4th of July is a different it's a different animal. It's crazy. It's crazy. You know, it's good. You know, people come in and enjoy the park, but it's gonna be a very tough day on everyone all the way around. You know, maintenance, security, pool staff.
But if we're limiting capacity though, then why is 4th of July weekend different than, you know, the 11th and 12th of July weekend then?
Because we can limit capacity of pavilions, but at picnic sites, so we're going to send security around, because people just come down that day and just grab a picnic site, whether they have one or not, that weekend. You know, so now we're going to send security around, say, you know, by the way, you can't be at this picnic site. It's not available for rent, or, you know, because we're spacing them out, and, you know, each one is separated. I just think we're going to be asking for trouble.
How about no day of rentals?
We are doing that.
Okay, so but then you said
that doesn't change. that won't change what goes on. There'll still be people that come in with no day of rentals. I mean, I do deal with it all during the week. You know, they don't have a rental. They don't even check in. They just go down there, grab a site, set up shop. Then, you know, security's not on yet. Sam or I have to go down there, let them know you got to pay for the site. You got to, you know, it's. I just think it's a bad idea. This will be my 12th 4th of July in the park, and I think it'd be I just think we'd be asking for trouble to open up for a real big 4th of July.
So just if I could, so what you're saying, just so I can understand it, is you're saying we're going to open up. You're talking about opening up reservations starting say May 10th for everybody, anybody that wants to rent the park. But
Yep.
But if you're an out of town resident, you can't rent the park till whatever, July 11th.
July 11th, whatever that weekend is. Yes.
Okay, so that's the thought, and we'll hold off. Okay, all right. Just
Now-
so I understand it. Okay.
and the mayor is asking us to not do this any earlier than August 1st.
Yes. That's her request. I'm okay with, I mean, that date is fine, but I'm okay with earlier. I think I just, you know, we're, you know, 80% of our picnic renters are out of town. And if we have, you know, we have red community, you know, guidelines. So now we're, you know, if you're from a red community, I'm gonna have to cancel your reservation. You know, there's just so much data tracking and information that you have to gather. You know, we're still requiring rosters, things like that. This isn't just, you know, we're going to flip the switch and open up and let's have, you know, a free for all. There's still contact tracing. There's still, you know, rosters that have to be submitted. There's a lot of work that is involved with this. And then, you know, we walk into having, you know, security, maintenance, myself, whoever, you know, asking people, you know, to move, or, you know, you can't be here because we're not taking rentals, things like that. I don't know. It's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough.
Yeah, the manager of this whole thing's a nightmare, to be honest with you, John.
Oh, it is. I mean, trust me, just dealing with youth sports.
You're trying to manage an unmanageable situation, really.
Yeah. Yeah, we're dealing with youth sports, and now you add in collecting rosters and paperwork from every single pavilion rental and picnic site rental for contact tracing. I mean, it's just, we'll have files full of information. So if something does happen, we've had a case already in the park that's happened over the weekend. So we've had a COVID case for youth soccer. So it's still here. It was in town. They weren't playing anybody out of town. They've been shut down for 10 days as part of the guidelines. But it's still here. COVID's still here, and trying to be safe and open things up in a safe manner, and do our best to do our jobs on top of tracking COVID. It's a lot.
So somebody wants to make a pavilion rental, and you have to get a roster in advance of all the people who will be present there.
Yep.
And if, let's say, they're from out of town and they want to rent out, during time that we're accepting out of town rentals, you have to make sure that where they're coming from is not a red zone.
Yep.
And if it becomes a red zone the day before, even if they booked it 2 months earlier, you have to call them and tell them they're not allowed to come.
Exactly, and they're allowed, in the contracts now is full refunds will be made to them if there is a cancellation. And same if Easthampton goes red, and we have to shut down, the park rentals because there's a huge spike in Easthampton. We're offering full refunds to everybody that if anything happens because of COVID, for any reason, that they're entitled to a full refund. We're not going to let money influence someone's judgment to whether to come to anything.
Well, but John, we are. It costs a lot of money to play travel baseball. We're accommodating travel baseball and travel sports because those people have a lot of money. It doesn't cost a lot of money to rent a picnic site. So I think that is a little inconsistent. And that's all that I'm saying is I'm looking for consistency. I'll step back from this argument because it seems
Eric,
like I'm not going to win here.
Eric, I can track. So I know we had a COVID case. I was given a roster. They reported it. I know we can track it. So I have that data from sports. Once we get into pavilions and other things, it's, they sign up, Mickey Mouse, attended our pavilion today with, 555-1212. It's a different game for tracking. And people have seen this at restaurants and other things. I have legitimate rosters. I have legitimate ways to track who comes into the park, whether it's an out-of-town team or not. I have 5 teams coming in, and I have their rosters and their COVID acknowledgement forms in hand. So it's different. It is different. They're 2 different things. There's 2 different ways to track it. It's much easier to deal with the sports. And we're not seeing a lot of, soccer's playing out of town. Little League has a little bit, but most of it's in-house.
That's great. That's great. So like I'm saying, if it's Easthampton kids playing on Easthampton fields, then this policy would be absolutely consistent. I would have no problem with it. But I'm saying if Jeff and Dan and those guys are prepping fields for South Hadley or whomever to come in tonight, but then we say that like out of towners can't. It's not consistent.
I have South Hadley's roster if they come in. And the other thing we have is we have eliminated 2 outside teams. So Quabbin Valley, the men's baseball that has been in the park for 40 years or whatever they've been doing, their roster is not consistent with Easthampton residents. They're not allowed to have a team in the park this year. They used to play all their games in the park. They can't play this year because you have to have a majority of the roster has to be Easthampton residents, or else so there's no two outside teams or anything like that. It's, our teams are playing some outside teams, but they're following protocols to be in here.
So basically you don't have like South Hadley playing Granby
No.
sitting in the park. You got Easthampton playing Granby, you got Easthampton playing South Hadley. So it's an Easthampton team involved. It's not like two outside towns are coming in.
Two outside teams are not allowed to participate in games inside the park.
So Easthampton is involved.
Easthampton has to be on the field. And when I say Easthampton, I can't say the name Easthampton. The roster has to be majority Easthampton
Right, I get what
residents.
you're saying. But it's so I rent the pavilion, and I invite my daughter from Connecticut to come to the park. It's a completely different situation, or it's the same situation. I'm renting the park, but I'm bringing someone from my family in here that happens to live out of state.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you deal? I mean, again, it's a nightmare.
It is. And we're not saying they can't come in, but they have to be on a roster, and
Right.
we have to look at the roster and compare it with, what city they're from, and we're open, and there's a lot of things going on, and just to add this level of paperwork and tracking is tough for a very small department.
And for the record, man, I went through the park today. That is the best the park has ever looked in my entire life. Absolutely, hands down. And I told the guys that, and you should be really, really proud. The place looks amazing.
They're working hard.
Yeah,
they're working hard. There's a lot of inside stuff that you don't see from that needs to be done, but yes, it is looking good. And it helps that we didn't have a jump on baseball like we had in the past, so they were able to get on fields and do a lot of that extra stuff with the late start with high school and stuff. So they're attacking stuff every day.
Diamonds are going to look great. They don't get as much. They're not going to get as much use. You don't get as much wear and tear, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess I missed you by like 5 minutes today, John, because I wanted to tell you that as well. It's far and away the best it's ever looked. It's amazing.
Looking good. All right. Anyway, so let's you guys decide what I don't wherever you want to go. I've given you my 2 cents, and I don't think I need to expand on it anymore.
I do kind of have another question for you, John. Just kind of about, I keep looking back at Nicole's letter here, and she notes here, it says that the department has limited resources to keep, the public and our employees safe. But you feel confident that if we opened up earlier than August 1st, that you would have those resources? Maybe not for 4th of July, but.
Yeah, I think my main thing is when we say resources, it's more of time for the staff to make sure we're doing our job for cleaning and sanitizing, things like that, bathrooms and touch areas. So yeah, there's we are, like I said, we are still down a 40-hour-a-week position, and we're still down a 29.5-hour-a-week position. Those jobs are posted. We've promoted internally. It's on my list for later, but Dan Lococo, who's been our assistant foreman, is our foreman. So he replaced George, and now we have an assistant foreman position open. It's great that Dan stepped up and took it, but we still doesn't fill the void of having an employee 40 full-time or not on staff. I met with personnel today. It looks like we do have several applicants to replace Dan. So hopefully sooner than later we can get that job added in there, and then that weekend position, because that's the big one, getting someone in here, extra bodies in here on the weekends to help manage our facility. So I definitely want to stay at 50% capacity for pavilion rentals, picnic sites, things like that. If we go early with non-residents, we'll deal with it, whatever we got to do. But we
So
always do.
So to your point, basically, your management, what you're saying for management is more about the capacity of the park, not necessarily who's in the park, right?
Yeah, well,
You're saying
capacity
50%.
and who's in there, because it's a little easier to, when a resident, so say a resident rents it and has whatever, they decide they're going to have 120 people at it, instead of the 60 people or whatever. It's a little easier to have a little bite on it when we know we can, track that person. They're in town. We
Right.
we,
I got you. It's local, somebody local have a little bit more respect, you would think.
well, not even that. It's just it's just easier. If we do have an issue, we can call them directly, like, hey, you live in town here, you broke this rule, you broke this rule, you're not going to be allowed to rent. We know who they potentially who they are. I don't know, it might be a bad example, but my thing is capacity limits and the 4th of July,
Right.
quite frankly.
I got you. The 4th of July. Yeah, that's pretty clear.
Do you have any rentals for the 4th of July to this point?
Not that I'm aware of. I'm not sure. Sam's takes the pavilion rentals. I think the 4th on like a Monday or something. Is that what it is this year?
Sunday.
Sunday? Okay. So I'm not really sure what we have.
Okay. So basically, the idea here is that we're going to stay at 50% capacity probably for the whole
Yep.
year, as far as pavilion rentals and picnic tables and all that
And
stuff.
picnic sites. Yep.
Picnic sites, right. And right now, everybody in town can sign up for these rentals for the whole season, and anybody from out of town can sign up for them starting August 1st.
No, they can start. My thing is, I think we should look at like next week. So people got to start planning for things. So starting, or 2 weeks, May 2 weeks from today, May 12th, they can start booking pavilions. Now we just have to pick the date that we want to open up to non-residents.
Mhm.
So would you say the 10th, because that's the Saturday after 4th of July, or would you want to go later than that?
I'd be okay with the 10th.
So if
The mayor's saying the 1st of August. I'm okay earlier.
So I guess it comes down to, you feel like you can manage the park, you can go earlier than the August, but you don't want 4th of July, say
Well,
July.
if we are, I'll be on vacation that week if we're open the 4th.
No, so you're saying July, so basically you're saying starting July 10th, we would start booking people we would start opening dates up July 10th on for out of town residents.
That's what
You're recommending.
That's what I would like. Is
Okay.
try to limit the capacity on the 4th of July.
I hear you. Okay. One other thing too. Well, what kind of stimulus funds are we looking at that are being floated here in this letter? Is there some?
I have not been promised any dollars, so I'm not sure.
Don't hold your breath, basically.
We're
Yep.
yeah, it has nothing, as far as I'm concerned, it has nothing to do with financials whatsoever.
Okay.
It's about safety and
Yeah.
what I have to be able to come with if something happens, having the documentation.
So then I guess then I'll make a motion if we're doing a motion at this point to and Andy, I think you've been taking minutes, so if you could just fill in some of the dates for me.
Sure,
That-
go ahead, kid.
That will so I guess this will be a 3-part motion, I guess.
Okay,
That the park will remain at 50% capacity through the 2021 season. That we will begin accepting reservations for picnic sites and pavilion rentals beginning on May 12th.
Yep.
And that we will begin and that non-residents can rent sites, picnic sites and pavilions beginning July 11th?
10th. 10th is a
10th.
Saturday.
10th.
Okay. So I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Andrew seconds. Motion's on the floor. Does anyone want any further debate on this motion? No.
Now, what was the July 10th part again of your motion?
That would
We
be
open up completely to non-residents and residents.
Okay.
Completely, but at that
Well-
the use that the use that
Yeah,
COVID.
50%, yeah.
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 Okay.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Completely, but what?
That basically so that non-residents can rent pavilions and picnic tables beginning July 10th. Well, they could, or 4 dates beginning July 10th. But we'll still be at 50% capacity
Yeah.
overall.
The mayor's usage of the term fully open up in the memo, I think, is a little confusing and a little troubling. So that's why I threw the first in the motion, the first part, that we're going to be
Yep.
open at limited capacity through the entire year.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
All right. There's no further questions. I think we should have a vote on this. All right. So I guess we'll go around the horn. Eric.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. Bob,
Yes,
Andy,
Yes,
and Ron.
I'll say yes, but I'm really confused. But
John, I'm sorry. Yeah, Paul, and Ron, should we clarify what your questions are at this point before we go ahead with this vote, just so we're all.
Yeah, you should know what it is you're voting for.
well, I'm reading his motions. I think it probably clears it up pretty well. I got written down there 50% capacity in all the pavilions, and I don't know if I wrote down the date there. But then
you want me to go back through it for you, Ron? Park will be at 50% capacity for basically the whole season. Starting on May 12th, we'll be accepting reservations for out-of-town residents, but they will not be allowed to actually rent a pavilion. They'll be able to rent the pavilion, but they will not be able to basically occupy a pavilion till the 10th of July. So they can start renting them from May 12th on, but they won't be able to use the park till after from July 10th on.
Yeah,
that's basically it.
Right. So if you're a non-resident, you can show up on May 12th and put in a rental, but the earliest date that you could rent for is July 10th.
Great. Perfect.
Okay, I say yes.
Okay. So that motion is successful with 3 votes in favor and 1 abstention.
Is that enough, or do we need one more?
Oh yeah, Paul, how are you voting?
I'm not sure if do I vote unless it's a tie. I guess if you abstain, we need 4. I'll vote yes.
All right, Camp Nanotech and programming. So we do have Camp Nanotech up and going. The online reservation system is going to be released on May 5th. So we start taking next Wednesday, we start taking reservations. It'll be all online. There's still a couple more things that have to be entered into the site. We're going to do kind of a test thing on Monday, pretend like we're being a parent and registering Eric Poulin for camp. We're going to bring him back for senior camp. And so we'll enter the data and make sure. I've been messing around with this for 3 weeks now. It's very user friendly, but we were starting at baseline 0. So it's been labor intensive to get all the information into the site. But I think once we get into it, people will be able to use their phones, their computers, tablets, whatever to register. It collects. So any information goes in, it's not data error entry on our part. It would be by the parents entering it. So they would make sure their emails are correct because they'd get confirmations back with the emails they enter, things like that. So it's going to streamline a lot of things for us. We're very excited about this, this program and this process. So hopefully, knock on wood, all goes well. We know how electronic and things like this work, that there could be something that we missed or something goes awry, but we feel we'll be ready to go. And parents are very excited to have Camp Nanotech back this year. I have a meeting on Tuesday with personnel. It looks like a lot of returning staff are coming back, which is good. So we think we're going to be all set for staff for camp this year. So we're excited about that. Any questions on camp?
Is there a
Same
limit?
director and all?
So we're using all 4 pavilions, and we're going 40 junior campers and 40 senior campers at this point. So 80 total in camp, which is down. We usually have around 120, 130 a week. We've stayed with the no trips policy. We want to make sure we're able to keep smaller groups in each pavilion. So each pavilion have 20 kids, smaller cohorts. So there's easier tracking, less interaction between campers. So we're in, easier to manage. There'll be smaller groups going to the pool, smaller groups for activities and things like that. So we think going this route is the best way to keep safety in mind.
Are we having the same director?
Yes.
Good.
Yep. Okay. Budget info. So I just got yesterday, I got the budget packet from downtown, the nice, whatever, 200-page document that gets published out. As we presented it, it was approved. As we requested for this, in which we streamlined cost again because of revenues lost in town through this, but we're at a number where we think we can manage what we have. I'm happy that it's approved as presented. As I mentioned, so Dan Lococo has taken over. Dan's been with us for 15 years, and he is the park foreman. So we're excited that Dan stepped up in-house. He knows the park, he knows his way around, he knows the pool. He will be attending the CPO course, which is a certified pool operators course that George and I both have. I'm still good for another two more years after this year with my certification. So we once again have 2 pool professionals on site to manage the pool for this coming season.
What's the course again, John? I'm sorry.
What's that?
What's the course again?
It's the CPO course, Certified Pool Operators course.
Thank you.
And like I said, we
What
have two
about-
positions out there. Once we get fully staffed back, and be able to get 2 guys in on each weekend, which we have about a month to fill that other position, will be huge to get to that point. This year, there's not going to be much baseball or softball in on Sundays. The co-ed softball is not happening this year, based on the same in-house policies that it would be non-residents teams that would be coming in, and that's not allowed. So I had to shut down co-ed softball this year, as well as Quabbin Valley. So hopefully in the fall we'll be able to get back to some of those other things and get those folks back in here. The park does look really nice. The guys are, we are short-staffed, but the guys are, they're picking apart projects at a good pace. So we're very proud of how things are progressing down there. So hopefully the weather cooperates and everything else works out for us on that end. As I mentioned, the state came out with new regs yesterday. So we will be revisiting. I have a meeting next week. Well, actually it hasn't been planned yet. It's supposed to be next week. It might be the following week. But looking at some folks who were told they could not have larger events are circling back to the mayor and trying to get to see where check the temperature of the city on larger events. So there's going to be some discussion. So we might have to revisit Millside. As that comes up, we'll discuss it at either the next meeting or the following meeting. We'll see when that arises, but just keep that on the radar that, when those guidelines are being changed and looked at that by the state level, it's putting pressure on the local level as well. So our COVID, like I said, our COVID response, the leagues have been great about getting us information, knowing that if you don't have your rosters and COVID guidelines forms, that you're not allowed into Nanotech Park. Little League's done a wonderful job, soccer as well, staying up on everything. So I'm very happy with the leagues and their boards for taking our COVID guidelines serious. And that's about it for me.
I just have a quick question. Going back, Mr. Lococo, does he need a license for spreading the fertilizer and all, or does he have one already, or?
We don't do that anymore. We haven't done that in
what?
years. George hasn't done that, and we haven't done that. You have,
okay.
there's all new federal guidelines on storage of them and things of that nature. So we do not participate in pesticide program.
Okay.
John, you mentioned the pool earlier. Do we have an idea when the pool will be opened? And I'm assuming that will also be 50% capacity and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. So we're looking at, exactly same thing, looking at smaller numbers on that as well, and same with square footage for Spray Park. We're hoping June 26, I think, is our target date for the pool. They've already been down into the pool. They've already poured concrete from and fixed skimmers from last year. So they've attacked that a couple weeks ago. So we're in better shape than we have been in a few years on the pool. So hopefully that can solve some of our issues down there. So we're happy with that. Some new plumbing, things like that have been done as well.
And season passes and whatnot, are they on sale at this point, or?
We're not charging this year.
Not charging for the pool. Wow. Okay, cool.
Oh no, for the pool. We're charging for the pool. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
No. The pool season passes don't go for sale until just before the pool opens.
Okay.
So like the week before, just because you never know. You don't want to take anybody's money in for the pool until we know we're up and running and see how the old girl handles.
Right, fair enough.
Any
But yeah,
idea
we're
when the
still
tennis
not
courts will
doing
be done?
vehicle admission this year. Or at least through July 1st, unless something changes, but at least through July 1st, we have made a commitment not to charge for incoming vehicles. And my feeling is to continue that right through for the entire summer.
Any idea when the tennis courts will open?
Sorry, John.
What's that, tennis courts?
Yeah,
Hopefully, tennis courts are usually Memorial Day weekend.
okay. The
And
same
I'm sorry,
people are
John.
gonna do them?
Sorry. You said you're not planning on charging cars all summer?
That's still our plan. Yes, we
Okay.
voted, I don't know, a few months ago or whatever, not to have admission. And it wouldn't, the mayor is fully on board with that. We want to, folks have been through enough, and if they can come enjoy the park for free, this year after everything that's gone on for families, I think personally, I agree, it's appropriate to not charge again this year for the second year in a row of for folks.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, I think that wraps it up for the COVID-19 response stuff. Yeah. Is
And
there-
I got older continuing, nothing on my end.
Nothing there. All right.
If nobody has anything, can I make a motion to we adjourn?
Well, right before you do that, John, Ron, I just wanted to say once again, John, thank you for everything, and always, as far as putting safety first and the way that you and everyone has handled the COVID situation in the park. Like, you guys couldn't have done a better job, and you have my full respect. So even when I'm even when I'm asking questions like this, I know you're doing the best for safety. So.
Yeah, we're trying to manage. We just got to get over this paper trail stuff is just getting old. We got to turn the corner for everybody's health and well-being and get to some normalcy.
Exactly.
But thank you, and the staff. Everybody's really stepped up, and we are short, but everybody's really pulling their weight to make sure we're trying to do the best we can with what we have for financial and human resources. So I'm proud of everybody.
Yeah, you should be. So Ron, if you want to make that motion.
No, you're up, Ronnie.
I'm sorry?
Go ahead, kid.
I make a motion, we adjourn?
Okay. Does anyone second this motion?
I'll second it.
All right, Bob.
Another double for
Good to
Bob.
hear you, Bob.
Yeah.
Thank you for speaking up.
That leads the league in doubles.
That's great.
All right. So Eric,
Yeah.
you adjourn? Yep. Bob,
Yes.
Andy.
Yes.
All right, and Ron.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, guys. We are adjourned.
Thank you. Everybody stay safe.
Thanks, everyone.
Be well.
Have a good week, guys.
Glad you're feeling better, Paul.
We'll see ya.
Much, Ron.